Welcome to A Guide to Every Deck in Modern. Today we're looking at Temur Rec. Wilderness Reclamation, otherwise known as Temur Rec, is a deck that utilizes Wilderness Reclamation to generate a huge mana advantage for instant speed spells and eventually dominates the late game by repeatedly taking extra turns with Nexus of Fate. The deck can easily loop Nexus of Fate, finding it over and over with cards like Memory Deluge and other draw spells. Having many lands or multiple reclamations can let its mana get out of control. It's not uncommon to cast Nexus, shuffle it in, find it again, and cast it again in the same turn. It can then win by attacking with Shark tokens or ultimating Renin 6 and retracing direct damage spells. While the deck doesn't set up quickly, it offsets that by disrupting the opponent with counterspells and cheap removal. Growth Spiral is a ramp card that replaces itself and puts an extra land down for Reclamation. Importantly, it can be cast off the mana from a Reclamation and provide more mana for a second Reclamation. Because of Reclamation, anything that can be cast or activated at instant speed is more desirable, a notable card being Castle Vantress. The deck is always base blue and green, but the third color can be different, though it's usually red to take advantage of Renin 6. One play pattern of the deck is that it can often generate a ton of mana, but not necessarily use all of it. Renin 6 helps enable more outlets for its excess mana by recurring cycling and channel lands. The other most common color is white for either more versatile removal like Prismatic Ending or flash threats like Solitude. Reclamation decks are best against slower decks or those with lots of creature removal, since those are basically dead cards in the matchup. Its drawbacks are that it's slow to set up, especially if you have a hand that lacks either Growth Spiral or Reclamation. The deck is very reliant on Reclamation and Nexus of Fate, and if either card is answered, it will struggle to win. Nexus usually can't be permanently answered due to its shuffle effect, but it can still be got by force of negation. Tips and tricks. Like Elementals, the deck can run into the problem where it draws so many cards that it runs out of threats. You can use Endurance to restore your graveyard to library. It's usually correct to cycle Shark Typhoon rather than cast it. However, your opponent may struggle to beat a Resolve Typhoon depending on their deck. It can also be relevant to beat the clock since looping Nexus takes a long time. This is where other cards like Expansion Explosion come into play as well. If you play a channel or cycling land as a land, you can retrieve it later by bouncing it to your hand with Cryptic Command. Archmage's Charm's ability to steal things shouldn't be underestimated. Notable theft targets are Rhino tokens, Constructs, Death's Shadow, Ragavan, DRC, Sigarda's Aid, and Kaldra's Germ. Note that even if you steal an equipment like Colossus Hammer, that doesn't change the creature it's attached to. I hope you've enjoyed this look at Temur Rec. I want to thank my fellow players in the Magic community for whom sharing their experiences helps make these guides possible. You can find additional resources, such as an up-to-date deck list, in the description. If you think I left out anything important or got something wrong, please leave your thoughts in the comments, and stay tuned to see what deck we look at next time.